Okay, there we go. So, welcome to this Black Girl podcast. I am one half of your host, Lola. I also go by ola.miss.lola on Instagram.
And I am the other half of your host, HilDiva, also at the HilDiva on IG. And we are so glad to bring you our wonderful guest today, Mr. Jack Decker, also a host of a wonderful game show called Interrogation. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a simple deduction game show. Two contestants compete against each other. First contestant has up to 20 questions. The second contestant has to beat their score. And it's all based off of the old parlor game of 20 questions. You know, person, place, thing, vegetable, animal, mineral. I think it's another name for it. There was an old game show called What's My Line, but they just focused on jobs. What's Back in the day, What's My Line was a phrase you me and my cocktail party, and they'd say, "What's your line?" Meaning, "What's your line of work?"
Oh,
Mm.
Mine does all topics. So it's just that. I mean, it's a each competition series is 5 videos long,
mhm.
and they're released individually. And now I've gone into shorts. So I take that one 2-person contestant episode, and then I make 2 short videos of them individually, like a single contestant episode, and then it's under 60 minutes long. Very quick, very the total opposite of the regular show because my show has no time limit. There's no champions. We chit chat. There's a majority of the video is actually chit chatting with the guests, whatever they want to talk about. But in the shorts, I just down to questions and answers, and bam, 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 done. So,
Cool.
anyways, that's what's going on. That's what I'm hoping eventually have be a full time occupation. But right now, it's just a hobby.
Cool.
Nice. So, my question to you, as we get to know more about you and to kind of delve into our realm a little bit further, um, you do the YouTubing as, I guess, your hobby, your enjoyment that you want to eventually make full time. What do you do, I guess, as a supplement, as the day job, the monotonous part,
Your line.
if
What's
you
your
don't mind
line?
sharing?
Okay. For the last 3 years, I've been a trucker.
Okay.
Two
Ooh.
years of First year I was an OTR trucker, which is over the road, which is a
Hmm.
long haul trucker. Um, and The last 2 years I've been a delivery driver. I'm not sure if for a soda company. And
Ooh.
a year ago, I don't know if the camera can see it, but a year ago I shattered my left elbow.
Oh
Oh my
no.
And
gosh.
yeah, I was on a job. Car ran me over, but fortunately just ran over my foot. And we were steel-toed shoes, and it was the lightest car. The ER doctor said it was the lightest car you could be hit with, which was an MGM midget, burgundy. I was coming out of a grocery store, coming around my truck, and this car just buzzed right in front of me. Almost hit my truck. I
Oh
pushed
no.
myself back, but that put my foot out there, and I
Yeah.
pushed myself into my truck, and my foot hurt a little bit. I was jumping around. Never saw who did. Never saw who the driver was. Male, female, elephant.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
Um, the My boss. I have 3 bosses above me: a supervisor, regional manager, branch manager.
Hmm.
And the branch manager is just like, no, call the cops, make a report,
Hmm.
and then the cop, and then I said, well, should I go to the emergency room? He goes, oh yeah, go to the emergency room. You gotta get this X-ray. He's going through the whole. He's been there
Hmm.
forever. This is nothing new to him. So here you're going through this, and this is new to me. Um, and so and I said, so should I drive my truck there? And he said, well, leave that up to the ER. And the ER said, well, the 911. And they said, what foot was run over? And I says, my right foot. He says, oh no, we do not want you to all of a sudden
Yeah.
pain your, because that's where I for accelerator and brake.
Exactly.
Right.
It says it was your left
Yeah.
foot, maybe your right foot,
Right.
no. And then we had, I won't tell the town, but basically Elmore Five, you know, came and took
Hmm.
the statement, etc. There was an old grocery store. It had no cameras outside.
Mm.
I'll drive around and find this person. There is a tourist location, so
Yeah.
I'm almost certain that this was a tourist, and I know that they had to know that they've hit me, and
Of
I know they
course.
didn't break because it was on gravel. So if they had hit their brakes after hitting me, I would have heard the gigantic rumble of that. They did.
Right.
If anything, they accelerated.
Mhm.
And so that deputy went out trying to find him in this town. The store manager tried to find him in town. Went to the emergency room. They x-rayed my foot. It was red, but no fractures, no broken bones. The next week, my elbow started feeling weird. And then 2 days after into that week, it hurt a lot of pain, and they took eventually an MRI, and I had shattered my left elbow.
What? So you were 2 days not knowing you had a shattered elbow, walking around.
What happened? A week. You have two elbow. You have actually two joints in your elbow. You have two joints in your elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was recovering, my foot was the one that was hurting. I was hobbling around at work, and the jokes that my boss and employees were making. Gimp, and I just kept them working. And then when it came the weekend, I rested up. I didn't move at all. I just put my foot up, so heal yourself, boy. And Monday, foot felt fine. And actually, when it came back to regular color, it went from red to black and blue to brown and yellow. Then eventually by Monday, it was almost just like normal. And I was like, cool. Okay. Yeah. A little run over, not a problem. And then I'm out there lifting as a delivery guy. It's one of the most physically demanding jobs you can have right now. You move up to 50 pounds cases. And so you're constantly moving. I mean, I went from OTR, which was you sit in the truck for 10 hours a day. Your whole battle is not ballooning up in a gigantic, being insanely fat, to doing that. And I actually went from 275 to 250 because of the job alone. It's just very demanding to you. And so on Monday morning, I just went back, and then my elbow started feeling weird. I mean, just like I never felt it weird that before. I had shattered. I'm not shattered. I broke the elbow a year before. Had a plate and 3 screws in it, and fully recovered, full movement, and everything. And anyways, went back to work, and then just started feeling weird. And then the next day, it started feeling catching, like how it catches when it moves. And then the next day, Tuesday, it felt weirder and weirder. And then, just before I had pain, I just unloaded, what was it, like 36 50-pound cases of bottled water at a gas station. And it was just feeling really weird doing that. But I just, plugged my way, pushed my way through it. But then when I went to, Menards, I don't care. I don't think they care if I tell who they are. And they just had a tray of broken glasses, there's nothing, and almost no weight to them, and they were on top of a pallet. So I naturally just reached up to take them back, and that's when the pain hit. And so I've been on workers' comp for that happened June 30th of last year.
Oh wow.
And it was just, now I'm having nerve problems, it's just painful. I can move it around, etc. But if I try to lift something with it, like even a pound, it causes me pain. I start up new physical therapy tomorrow with a new physical therapist. I'm hoping that they'll get me back to work, or at least get me to where I can be an OTR trucker again, a regular trucker. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back and being a delivery driver, because now I only have one joint in my left arm. Fortunately, the joint that shattered was of the bone that when you twist your hand like this, okay, that's because you have 2 bones in your arm, and the one that there's a basically kind of like your load supporting joint. When you arm curl, that's the one you do. But the other one enables you to do this and to hold it. So it just is very important.
Very useful.
Otherwise your hand would just you having control over your hand, you almost like slinging around. And so that's what. But we'll see. We'll see. So that's what I'm hoping to get back, at least to going. And I love doing OTR trucking. It was just I'm in here in America, and we have just a beautiful country. There is not a part of America except for the cities that I don't like. And the only reason I don't like the cities is because drive a 30-foot truck through any city, and you'll find out just how much you hate the cities.
And
Especially
OTR,
Well,
what does OTR stand for? Sorry.
what?
OTR, is it like off the road trucking?
Over the road. Over the road. It's a long haul trucker. Like I'm now a daily trucker, which means I return to my terminal the same day I leave it.
You set out.
And I go home every night. I have every weekend off.
Well, that's good.
And I'm working for. I mean, I don't care. Dr. Pepper. Hopefully, they don't get upset because I'm very happy
I
working.
love
for
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, I love A&W. I can't drink cola, but but I mean, they treat me very well. They treat me very well in workers' comp, and so in comparison to the trucking companies I've worked for, they treat me very nicely. And I mean, when COVID hit, they gave us a 20% pay increase to keep us working.
Oh wow!
So I went from essentially $70,000 a year to $84,000 a year, and that was for 6 months.
What? That's good.
Yeah, well, and especially in comparison to Pepsi, they gave their drivers a $1 an hour raise, and they cut all their hours. Dr. Pepper, we don't deliver to restaurants and bars.
Okay.
It's just not profitable. If you drink a soda at McDonald's or anything, that soda companies make no money off of those soda sales. That's viewed as advertising by soda companies. It's just we make our money off of retail. When you go to a grocery store, that's where our money is made off of. So when you go to like Burger King or a McDonald's and you see Dr. Pepper, that's actually distributed by Coca-Cola, and it's just because they want there's such a demand for Dr. Pepper that they Burger King says we want Dr. Pepper, and then, okay, we'll bring that on into. So when the COVID hit, the majority of their truckers, their businesses to restaurants and taverns, and so they all shut down and they all lost their hours.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola is even worse. Their message to their drivers: be thankful you have a job.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's the thing. There's a huge demand for truckers. Has been for many, many years.
Yeah.
Their truckers all quit. And so I was driving around, and here's a warehouse foreman and a manager and a sales rep driving their trucks because all their drivers quit because of that attitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna ask because of the trucking, just because it's long hours. It's extended hours. You can be gone anywhere from, a week, 2 weeks, depending on how long, like where you're driving from.
I was a nomad trucker.
Oh yeah? Oh, so you had the room in the truck.
Yeah, well, all OTR truckers have a sleeper unit in the back. That's There's a bunk bed. It's really minimal. I was all reefer driver, which doesn't mean I smoked drugs. It means I drove a refrigerated truck. You're called a reefer.
Okay.
And all reefer drivers have refrigerators in them in their sleeper units, because if you don't, well, there's a gigantic refrigerator right that I'm towing behind you. I'll just snip the seal and put my milk in there and shut the door again. So that's why all reefer drivers get refrigerators, because if we don't, we'll open up the truck. We don't care.
Right. Well, I wanna ask with this job, just because it can be demanding socially, in the sense of you're on the road long hours. You don't always get to interact with.
If you want to get divorced, become an OTR trucker.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, how does that affect relationships?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Really? Okay.
Another joke name for an OTR trucker is a divorced trucker. And also because when truckers get divorced, they go to Uber. I was a nomad trucker, which means I lived in my truck. I didn't have I didn't have a house. I didn't have a car. I gave all that stuff up. My only bill was my cell phone bill. So the money I was making from the truck was almost pure profit as far as I was concerned.
Okay.
And that was when I was a new trucker.
Right.
And once you get a year, I now have a year. I'm constantly offered jobs.
Yeah.
You know, just you can, if you're selective, and a lot of them aren't. they lose one job and they quickly run to the first trucking company that hires them. But if you just take your time, you can easily. I have staying out for $2,000 guaranteed a week, which is $104,000 a year. And
Yeah.
good benefits, etc. And that one would pay for you my cell phone bill. And they'll
Wow.
and give me a new cell phone every 3 years. And that's because they want the reason why they're
Well,
doing
it keeps you.
well, the reason why they're doing that is so that you put their apps on your phone.
Oh, ooh, and make sure you're doing your job.
In a way, so they don't have to buy you a phone and give you a phone.
Yeah.
They're reimbursing you for the phone, so they don't have to do that for you. And plus, you don't want to have them. You don't want to have a company phone, because
Right.
then everything that you do on it, they have legitimate claim.
They have eyes on it.
What you're doing, who you're talking
Right.
to.
Yeah.
And today, we all phones are essentially just tiny tablets. And so, I mean, I watch videos all the time. I don't want them to find out what the videos are. And I watch.
What are you
I don't want
watching?
them to see it.
I watch, baloney. I mean, bland ones. YouTube
Yeah.
videos, etc. But I still want them to know what YouTube videos I'm watching, especially because I watch a lot of trucker YouTube channels. And,
Okay.
And a lot of them, there are some good ones, and there's some bad ones. Just like any YouTube.
I want to circle back to the term, I guess, divorced truckers, because you're saying if you're an OTR trucker, like a relationship's out of the cards, essentially impossible, or will damage a relationship.
It's not impossible. It's a different type of relationships you want to have. You're a sailor, okay?
Yeah.
You can be a sailor, which is a girlfriend in every port. You can do that type of. There are many truckers that do that. There are many truckers that have actually been married to multiple women, and the women don't even know of the other families.
Oh no!
Because you're traveling back and forth, and so and they've done that. And it's not super common, but it's not unusual.
Yeah.
But it's also just a horrible. If the trucking industry, being a trucker has the turnover rate for truckers is between 200 and 250%.
What?
Which means every trucker you see on the road, realize that at least 2 other truckers have joined and left the industry in that year that one trucker stayed driving.
Wow.
And there's a lot of trucking companies that are very disreputable. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get sued by them.
Right.
What would they do?
But my first trucking company was one of them.
Okay.
I would join trucking. I was a marketing consultant, and without going into details, just things went wrong, and I had been sick of seeing 4 walls of the office. And so to be the absolute opposite, I thought, what the hell? I'll be a trucker. Called and talked to a bunch of recruiters, and one of them lied to me, and they're known for lying, and I did not know that. If I could talk to people that were wanting to be truckers, there are trucker YouTube channels that you should listen to and watch all their archives. There are some really good trucking companies out there. Dr. Pepper is one. If you want to be a daily driver and you don't mind really busting your ass and losing weight, it's a great way to lose weight. If you
know what?
Delivery driver.
I was gonna say, I have a friend who is a trucker. He works as a trucker. I think he's now a daily trucker, but before he used to be like OTR, but not super long distances, like maybe 1 week turnaround.
He was probably a regional trucker.
Probably one of those. But like, you're absolutely right. Ever since he started doing that, he obviously was making much better money, so he's more financially secure. He lost a whole bunch of weight because he was hella heavy before, and then he got like fit. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, sir. And like,
the problem
he
is
enjoys it though. He enjoys it because I don't know. He's personally a little bit more withdrawn. Like he would consider himself a bit of an what's not the extrovert, introvert.
Introvert.
So like,
introvert helps you if you're a trucker. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
When I was doing OTR, my daily routine was, but when you sleep in your truck,
Hmm.
and I was a nomad, so I didn't even have a home to go to. Didn't want to one. I mean, to me, it's just stupid to be an OTR trucker and having a home, which you might see 2 days out of every, if you're lucky, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and some a lot less. Um,
Mhm.
and it just didn't make sense of renting an apartment when basically I have the apartment, my quarters in the back. Um, it just didn't make sense. But there's a lot that do.
Yeah.
It's lucrative, and being if you're a daily driver, you're giving up money to being a daily driver. If you're a regional driver, you're giving up money to be a regional driver. Daily drivers get to go home every night.
Yeah.
Usually they have their weekends off. Regional drivers get to go home every weekend. Okay,
Right.
but then OTR truckers, we may not go home for 2 weeks, and unfortunately that part, because I knew a trucker
Hmm.
before I became a trucker and talked to him a little bit about it, I knew that was the way to go, was to get rid of the car, to get rid of the apartment, and get rid of. I just condensed everything down to essentially a duffel bag, and
Wow.
had a friend, a really good friend of mine. He and has my stuff. He let me store all his stuff. He had a gigantic barn, you could say,
Yeah.
and I stored it there. And I just a lot of truckers, a lot of new truckers don't understand. It's not a job; it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Okay.
And if you become an OTR trucker, you're entering your own separate. It's a separate world.
Mhm.
They're literally called the last cowboys.
The last
If you
what?
knew the
The
last
last Cowboys.
Cowboys, if you knew who the real cowboys were,
Oh,
they
Cowboys.
drove cattle. Okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so very similar to what truckers are. They're away from home for long periods of time. But even those, they usually always rode with with other cowboys. Truckers today, you might have part of a team, which is something you should never be. You should never be a team driver because you'll sleep on the truck while the other one drives, and then while you drive, he sleeps, and you never get good night's sleep. Um, the roles just keep. I mean, when I was doing team, that was part of when I was with a trainer.
Hmm.
I was literally bounced. I'm 275 pounds. I'm 6'3". I'm not a small little guy, and I'm bouncing around in the bunk bed as we're going along. It's just if he stops, you wake up. You're never like a deep sleep. You're always conscious
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on around you.
Being disrupted.
He slows down for construction. I wake up. What's going on? Um, he stops into a gas station. Well, that's the time you have to go to the bathroom. Um,
Oh no.
yeah,
But
and that's the other thing that really sucks is that you're peeing in the bottle when you're a solo driver.
oh
Oh.
God,
I
yeah.
can't imagine being a female trucker. Just
Oh,
Mm.
cannot
Sure.
imagine being a female trucker.
it wouldn't be a
And there are
bottle. It would
some,
have to be a
and
bowl.
then
Like
there are
it's a
very
big
few.
area to carry all that.
Bull.
You would need a
There
whole
are some,
bowl.
and they're very few, and
Yeah.
it's very dangerous being a female trucker.
Oh, I can
Um,
I would
imagine.
imagine.
Definitely.
there's when I was driving, they had you hear trucker news, and like one woman was killed in her truck, and they didn't
What?
find her body for I think 7 days because once you're no,
What?
3 days, they didn't find her body until 3 days. Because if I pull into a truck stop, okay, I could be there for up to 3 days because I could have um, a 34-hour reset, which means I
Okay.
use up 70 hour. As a trucker, you can only drive 70 hours in a week.
Right.
Um, and if you get too close, you have to have a 34-hour reset, which means you
Mm.
can't drive for that period of time.
Okay.
So it's really common to have at a truck stop trucks to pull in, and people won't even notice them if the truck doesn't move for 24 hours. Everyone assumes, oh, they're doing a reset, you
Right.
know. And so people typically don't go to a truck until it's been there like 3 days, and that's when they went and and found her dead body there.
Oh
And it was
God.
heat and everything, and she's just like this. And a lot of male drivers will have these tiny little dogs, tiny little dogs.
Okay.
I have one right now. It's a Pepper, 7 pounds. Okay, that's
That's cute. That's just like a little thing.
Yeah.
But
Well,
women drivers will have Doberman pinchers, pit bulls,
right.
Oh, yeah.
mean dogs, and they will not them. I mean, you come close to their cab, those dogs just roar.
Come
And
Good.
if you
for
understood
that ass. I love
if you
it.
understood the danger that they were in,
Right.
yeah, they should. They really should have that. And but you can't have a relationship in it.
Really.
And unless you just want to be if you're into one night stands, but there's also lot lizards, which is ladies of the night who they're called
I've heard of the term lot lizard. I've heard of that term.
I've never heard of it.
yeah,
I want to know
they
because
are.
I want to know, like, I guess, what kind of category do you find yourself in if you're going back into this lifestyle? Like, are you going to be the sailor and have like a girlfriend in every city? Are you going to be, hunting down lot lizards? Like what's your angle? Or do you already have like an established family and they're going to be like?
I've never been married. I've been in long-term relationships. I almost got married twice.
Okay.
Dodged that bullet twice, and I'm glad I dodged. Oh, I go to high school reunions, and you know what they say? They talk about how many times they've been divorced. It's
Oh,
like,
no.
wow. And I've never been married. I came close. I came close twice. One with a woman from Cameroon, Africa, and another with a woman from Shanghai, China.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
you're pimping all over the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just my best friend in college was from Pakistan. And I don't know. I'm fascinated by foreign cultures, different cultures. I loved. I was raised by a professor of psychology. My mother was a teacher, second grade teacher. I have a degree in psychology. All my brothers had degrees in psychology. And during the summers, because they're a teacher or professor, they would have August off, and that's when we would get in the RV and see the country. I mean, as a kid, I saw the country all the time. When I was in school and the teacher would talk about Gettysburg, I would talk up and say, I would tell the students what it was like to walk around on Gettysburg, and it's it's a lot different when you look at a textbook is one thing, but when you actually walk around in the land that you're in, the Grand Canyon, unless no photograph, no matter how big the photograph you can blow it up to, will ever do justice to the Grand Canyon until you see it. And if you're smart, you'll see it at the crack of dawn when the light comes over and there's dew on the rocks and the sun hits it and vaporizes the dew, and it lights up. It's just absolutely beautiful. Wow. And then it's unbelievably hot.
That sounds awesome. Okay, but so you mentioned you've almost been married twice and you considered it dodging bullets. So I wanted to ask, what were those red flags that kind of popped out at you that made you decide, you know what, I can't do this. This isn't the right decision for me.
Well, I consider to have only had really 2 long-term relationships, serious relationships. Everything else is just dating. And so my first long-term relationship was with I won't give her last name.
You can give a fake name. We don't.
Okay,
her
English name was Elizabeth.
Okay.
And her African name was Cheney, Chenyi.
Okay.
And when I got to know her, everyone knew her as Elizabeth. And then when I found out what her middle name was, and that's common in Africa, you have an English first name, and then you have your African name, and then you have your family name.
Yeah.
When I found out that was Cheney, it just sounded neat. And so I started calling her that. And then eventually she could tell who was before me and who was after me. Because the people before I was with her would call her Elizabeth. The people that we got to know after would call her Cheney. Yeah. So it was, but she was very traditional. it was my first real relationship, first, and
Now,
I maybe
is it?
should have married her. I don't know, but she was my
Oh,
first real.
Yeah.
I didn't have what could I compare against dating? No,
right, right.
I mean,
And
you go on a date, you don't know that person, you don't know, and there was just there was a period of time when I felt like I was being treated like a dog. Um,
Oh,
Go here,
mm,
stop, this type of stuff. Being very, very controlled.
okay.
mm,
So things went from loving to more demanding.
Not demanding, more control.
More control.
control.
Um,
Okay.
Okay.
Not
Um,
she wasn't demanding anything. In fact, just the opposite.
okay.
She was very. I mean, um, I started knowing her when I was 27. Okay,
Mhm.
and I don't care. I was a virgin until I was 27.
Okay.
Wow, congrats.
Well, I would never recommend. No, I would never
Oh,
recommend waiting.
never mind.
No,
Do
no.
not
Oh my
recommend 0 out
nephew,
of 10.
do not wait. Stupid mistake.
Really?
Just stupid. I wish I had never waited
What?
that long. Never. But I was also. You have to understand when I was young, I was very religious. I almost became a
Mm,
minister.
Okay.
mm,
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do because when I was 13, my father found out he had leukemia and was told he had 5 years to live.
wow.
And
Wow.
I did the stupid kid things. I was trying to make deals with God, I
Mm,
do this. Could you make my dad live a little bit longer?
mm,
I
Oh,
mean, just stupid shit. And I look back as an
mhm.
adult going, oh my God. But I also understand as an adult, what can you do as a kid? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
I never argued with my father after that. I just
Hmm.
because I remember, see, when you he was told 5 years to live, so now he's terminal, and so
Hmm.
that if you're a child of a terminally ill parent, they commonly send you to meet others like that. And I
Okay.
remember sitting in this round, um, not room, but a round of tables, chairs, like a circle, okay,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and we were purposely put between new child of a terminally ill parent
Hmm.
and person that was even in some cases the person to my right was an adult and he had been a child of a terminally ill parent,
Okay.
and I listen to everything. I record everything, um, and just things burn in. I don't forget things.
Yeah.
Um, And so I was sitting there listening to these old ones, and a lot of their regrets. Well, some of the regrets were like, the last conversation I had with my father was an argument, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I was as a kid going, "Oh fuck no, no,
Yeah. So you're like, I'm
no,
not
I'm not going to
making
have that happen to
decisions.
me." So I
Yeah.
never with my father. I never went against his rule. But I also was a bright kid, and my father's a bright man, and so we could communicate on an intellectual level.
Nice.
He had
That's
actually
nice.
told my mom when he didn't think anyone was hearing them talk that I think of all my sons, I was the one who's going to handle his death bad, handle his death
The most like
the
gonna,
best. And
Hmm.
oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I felt that was my father saying that I didn't care about him. Like
Oh no.
no,
Yeah.
no. You have to understand. I now understand that. I'm talking
Right.
Right.
about you're 13 years old and you're trying to
Right.
figure things out. I mean, I went to the military partly because I wanted to defend our Bill of Rights. I'm anti-democracy, but I'm pro-Bill of Rights, which is anti-democracy.
Right.
It's the limitations that puts on democracy. But the other reason why is because, well, when I was 18, well, I found out my father was going to die in 5 years when I was 13. When I was 18, I realized this is the year.
Mm,
And so I thought I wanted my dad to have some measure of peace. And so I thought, what can I do what can I do as a teen that could give my dad some measure of peace? Oh, I mean, even though I'm, I'm very bright, but even I couldn't finish college in 1 year, 4 years in one year to do it. So I knew
Yeah.
that. And so I said, okay, college is out for now. And so I came up with, I'll join the military. And that way I could show, I wanted to tell my dad, I'll be okay. I have a job. I'll be okay. And I remember telling my dad that later. He thought that was a dumb reason to join the military. It's like, but he also was touched that I was concerned. My other brothers didn't give whatever. I wanted my dad to feel rest,
Right.
to not be worried about me. I'll be okay. When I was in the military and I went to a technical school down in Waco, Texas, and he came down to visit me, and I realized, whoa, because you get a little bit of leave time between your technical school and when you report to your base, and I knew I was going to be visiting him in less than 30 days, and here he's driving down to visit me, and like my dad said, I'm smarter than the average bear. I put two together. He thought, oh my God. And I was like, holy shit, you don't think you're going to last 30 days for me? And so it's very important for me.
That must have been stressful.
We went to the restaurant that I paid for the bill. That it was just, and he understood how important it was for me to pay that bill.
Yeah.
I wanted to show him I was okay. I'm an adult now. I can take care of myself. Here, I will treat you to this dinner, not you treating me like a child. But then he lived long. I mean, I went back and I saw him after that, but that was the 18th. I mean, the reason I didn't have long-time relationships when I was younger is because of my father.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I found, well, think about it. 13. What happens at 13?
Puberty.
Puberty hits. This is when you like girls, all this type of stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
It was, holy, my dad's going to die. One of my gods is going to die. And I did not want to, that was enough. To me, it was like.
Yeah, so your focus was just like him for the next 5 years.
I don't need to lose anyone else. I don't want anyone else to come close to me.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with this. I mean, during my junior and senior year, I skipped more than 50% of my school year.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a bright kid. I showed up for just a test, and I still graduated with, I think, B average.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
Yeah,
I won't say kids at home try that. I wouldn't say
no, and I was trying to deal with it, and I drove to this, and I didn't. My father was a functional alcoholic, which just meant he drink after work. That's all it means. He didn't drink before work or during work. He drank after work.
Right.
I have brothers. They're all recovering alcoholics of one extent or another. I have two older brothers, and I have a really older brother 6 years older than me. So, I was sixth grade when he was a senior in high school.
Wow.
I didn't, but my second oldest brother was only 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And so he was really my older brother. He's the one that, why would I assume older brothers do? They look after you. They kind of clue you in how the world works.
Right.
Here's what you're supposed to do on a date. Literally that kind of basic stuff.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, did you go on dates though? Like, because I know you already said that you were a
13,
bud. What?
I knew that you not knew, but and there was no social pressure. How can I put this?
Put it up.
No one pressured me.
Okay.
And I always knew how I have shin splints, so I can never run away. So I learned how to fight. And I mean, if you either run away or you fight, and I didn't have that one option, so I learned how to fight.
But I mean, like, did you go on dates with girls? Like,
yes, I did.
Before, like what you said, because you were a virgin until you're 27.
When I was going to school, it was homecoming. Prom. In fact, the only ones I took girls out on dates to, and I took them on it, and then I just not dumped them. I just didn't interact with them again.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was just like you brought them out for show, had a good time.
No, not for show. Not for show. It was just you were expected to go on homecoming and prom. And I don't know why. To be honest about it, I don't know why. There were some girls that were very into me. I think it's because I had a very lone wolf persona. And that's just because I learned my father was going to die at the age of 13. It just screwed up our life.
Right.
I mean, and before that, when I was even younger, when I was in I think we figured out maybe I was like 5 years old, I was in a hospital room. I had gone, when I was really young, I was in and out of hospitals a lot.
Okay.
And one time, this kid next to me made friends with, just like no kid gets a room by themselves. You put them with other kids. I mean, if you're mean, you'd put a kid in a room by themselves in a hospital. I mean, let's just terrorize the kid. Let's not give him an ally. Let's just stick him in this room. As an adult, you're like, I like to have a private room. Kids are like, no, I like to have others.
Yeah.
And so you'd always have another kid in the room with you, and you strike up conversations, you chat with them, etc. You share your toys, you play with, joke with them, and you're both there to do surgery, etc. Well, he went into surgery, he never came back.
Ooh. That's terrifying.
And no one told me. No one would tell me that he had died on the operating table, and he wasn't supposed to die on the operating table. It was that type of surgery, but he did. And so the nurses so they came in, and all of a sudden he's not there, and I'm expecting,
like, where's Danny? We were gonna play tic-tac-toe.
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
My God.
Nurses would tell me. My mom did tell me. At that time, you could have a parent in the room, and she's basically like a lazy boy. She'd sleep at the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me. But then when the parents of that child came in, they offered me his toys. And I knew the kid was dead.
Yeah, of course.
Because I knew how I've been in the hospital in and out so often that I spent days deciding which of my toys I was going to take, because you're only allowed so many. You're told this is how big the box, however many toys you can get in there. So you're too big, so I can get 2 of these toys in here. So those toys were like a security blanket for you.
Yeah.
Your favorite toys. And for a parent to offer your toys to them, and just, wow, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And
of course.
I found out, and remember my mom? She wasn't in the room. 30 years later, when I'm talking to my mom, she was, oh my God, you knew? Because eventually my mom,
that's a little late.
When I was in there, this happened, and I was having one of those deep conversations you have with your mom.
Yeah.
She's like, holy shit. And she never used those language. No. But anyway, she was, wow, you knew. And I said, where were you? And she says, oh, I was out in the hallway crying. And the nurses she says, all of them were putting their heads below the counters because they were crying. And the nurses, before they would come into my room, they'd steel themselves up, come in, because you see, the thing of it is, I'm going to surgery the next day.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right.
So they don't want to freak me out. Okay, but I'm not, like my dad said, smarter than the average bear. I'm sitting going, okay, no, something's not right, and so that changed me forever. From that point on, I looked at life differently.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because I realized that you have to understand the kid mentality. Okay, not talking about an adult, as a child. Okay, what's important to you? I realized he would never have another Christmas.
Right.
Another birthday. And then I was like, holy shit, I will. And then that changed me forever, for the rest of my life. I never asked my parents for an allowance. They gave me one. I never asked for a raise my allowance. Never asked for one.
Yeah.
They gave me an allowance. I put it in the bank. Actually, I worked out how the interest rate down to the 27th decibel, until my dad told me that 0.0000001 penny wasn't really worth much. So,
Yeah.
Fair.
because I found out interest compound daily. So I said, holy smokes. And then I started working how, and no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I mean, I realized that my mom would make me cookies. I just never asked for, I stopped asking for things because I felt like I'm alive.
Like you're grateful enough for just that.
How can I complain about anything? That kid will never have another birthday. That
Right.
kid will never
It's
have cookies
true.
given to him by his mom.
Mhm.
So I mean, that changed my whole perspective.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, did it at all? So that, as well as the passing of your dad, I remember you saying like that, knowing about it, especially beforehand, affected your relationship wise. Now, did you ever want to have children? Do you have any children?
Nope.
Do you have any ports with children? I don't know, sailor children. I don't know.
One, I didn't have sex until I was 27.
Mhm.
That's partly because I was very religious at the time. I lost all my religion before then.
Okay.
But at that time, I was still influenced by my childhood minister.
Mhm.
And my childhood minister basically said, well, don't you want your first one to be special? And I thought, yeah, that I'd like that first one to be special. And it was very hard. I mean, I went into the military. Some really bad things happened to me in the military. It scarred me. I came out and I spent years recovering from what they had done to me in the military.
Now, sorry to interrupt that because that's very interesting. Like now,
But
not
that
to have
changed
you,
everything.
not to have you repeat any trauma or anything, but is this like verbal abuse? Is it physical abuse? Is it,
In the military?
Self-esteem? Yeah.
Um, have either one of you served in the military?
No, either one of us. No.
And I have no idea what it's like or anything. So
It's
that's why.
It's a very, they own you, period.
Okay.
They literally own you. This is the closest thing we have today to slavery.
Wow.
I mean, they can they can literally send you to your death. They can send you on. They can knowingly send you on a suicide mission, knowing you're going to die. Okay. They completely control you. I find it humorous that leftists are so anti-military because the military is the perfect example of communism. It's a totalitarian society. From your abilities to your needs. You have to pass aptitude tests to even be considered for jobs. They don't care how much you want to be. I really want to be a mechanic. You don't have the aptitudes, you don't get to become a mechanic.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
When I was going through basic training. Now again, I'm smarter than the average bear. I topped off all my aptitude tests. I had the choice of any career I wanted. And I was another story. But they tried to recruit me for communication, which is, I found out from them, encryption service. Okay. And so the brightest of the bright try to get recruited to that. And I did not jump at the opportunity, and they really wanted me to come in. Because also they, when I applied, I gave over some of the psychological tests that my father had given on me.
Right.
And one of them was my IQ test. Our one was a Stanford Strong Campbell aptitude test and our stuff like that. And so let's just say I was a prize that they'd like to have come into encryption. So I had a colonel come in and try to pitch me, but my oldest brother's survival instructor, and he sent down two of his buddies to get me. and to recruit me into survival. And I'm allergic to nature, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I wear long pants always because if I have grass, if it rubs against my skin, I'll get a rash.
What?
Really?
Allergic
Yeah.
to nuts, chocolate, dairy, tomatoes,
Oh.
cloves, fruit with the seed and the meat. Pizza I can't eat it for because it's cheese, tomato, and the crust is usually burnt. I can't eat soy. That means soy flour and everything is. They put soy flour into everything these days.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. So hold on. My question is, if you're allergic to so many things, how do you manage being an OTR trucker? Because those truck stops are not it's not a Whole Foods where you can get certain gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. Like, how do you manage that?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Walmart is the trucker's best friend.
Okay.
All truckers go to Walmart. Idiot truckers buy stuff at the truck stops.
Okay.
You pull your truck into a trucker-friendly Walmart, and not all Walmarts are trucker-friendly.
Yep.
They should be, because without us, they wouldn't have Walmart. Yeah, it's just like this pandemic here has temporarily made people appreciate what truckers do for the country.
Yeah.
But in reality, if all of us truckers went on strike, you would starve to death.
That's very accurate.
It's over.
Yeah.
Very true.
So anyway, but anyways, no, you go to Walmart and you buy it just like if you go to Walmart, you can buy everything you need to buy in Walmart. So I would buy these family packets of tuna, not the cans because it's just the juice and so forth. But you just rip them apart and you can eat them right out of there. So I mean, in the morning I wake up and I have a packet of tuna or a packet of salmon or a flavored tuna.
Okay.
I drink water. I drink flavored water a lot. I eat a lot of protein and sugars. I've always been physically fit. I'm not as physically fit as I was because I used to go to the gym 6 days a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was very, very strong.
Well, that's good. I was going to quickly ask you about before we wrap up, because we are unfortunately getting to our time.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Your interrogation show, though, really quickly. What's the most like? Do you ever have any outrageous moments?
I've just started right now. I just started. I probably some things that have happened. There's one contestant that got it in 2. You have up to 20 questions, and he guessed it in 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was a location. It was New York City. He says, "Is this a state?" Something like, and he just guessed it in 2. It was like it blew everyone away. That record will probably stand for a very long time.
Wow.
There's just humorous ones. Like there's one that says they can only ask me yes or no questions. So they can't ask me, well, is this or this or this, because then that's a multiple choice question.
Right.
So just yes or no questions. And one of them says, is this male or female? And they said, yes, I mean, as opposed to no.
Fair enough. Okay. So,
it's just kind of funny stuff and what to talk about. It was also interesting. I chit chat with them in the mid video. I do a chit chat with them, and it's very interesting to find out what they do and why they're doing their channel. A lot of it, they're on to promote their channel, and that's cool. But others, I've been having more than some contestants come back again and again, and you really get to know who they are, and it's really neat to, you start feeling attached to them, and that type of stuff. So, but I haven't really been on long enough to have really an outrageous moment, and I'm not really. It's done here, like it's done with Zoom, 4-box design.
Well, that's great. Well, you know what?
I was gonna say, sorry, but just one last question. So it's 2 guests like versing, and then you're essentially the host and moderator. Okay.
They ask me a question, I'll answer them, and then it's one goes first. They have up to 20 questions, and then whatever score they get, the second contestant has to guess it underneath that.
Okay, got it. Sorry, what were you gonna say, HilDiva?
Then the next video, switch places. So first contestant becomes the second contestant becomes the first, and because when the when the second contestant is going, the first contestant is actually on screen because they already know the mystery,
Right.
and that's where a lot of the fun comes in because they can, it's the humor is some sit there just like a lumping log of others are bringing out like cats and
Right.
and trying to make everyone laugh. And that's really enjoyable for me. And that was just
wonderful. Wonderful. So real quickly, I was just going to say, just let everybody know where they could find you, Mr. Jack, where they could find your show. If they want to talk to you about anything, if they have anything to add or, any questions for you, where can they find you?
Well, fortunately, my channel's name is Interrogation. And there's a lot of, if you put in the YouTube search engine, Interrogation, you'll come up with a lot of police interrogations, which is not what I do. So if they want to find me, it would be putting into the YouTube search engine Interrogation Game Show. And then they'll very likely see one of those would be what I'm doing, Interrogation. I have a website for it. It's called interrogationgame.com, but that's mainly so that people can apply to be contestants for it. I'm not really, they could try to find that, but it's mainly just finding there. I'm hoping that eventually this thing takes off and I'll place a little bit higher on the ranking. And I have to get to 100 subscribers so that I can have my own personal URL. And so that'll help. Because right now it's just youtube.com/ and then a random series of numbers.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I don't even try to it's like 20, 30.
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show because you are awesome.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no problem. And just to close it out, I'm just going to say I am HilDiva. You can find me at This Black Girl Podcast on IG with my lovely co-host here. My personal IG is at the HilDiva. And maybe we'll end up on your game show one day. Who knows? We could be contestant 1, contestant 2.
Yeah, I'm not
make it happen.
But I'm your other co-host, Lola. Again, you can find me on Instagram at ola.miss.lola. Make sure if you have a question, concern, you want to be a guest on our show, to send us a message on our Instagram page, or you can email thisblackgirlpodcast@gmail.com. Again, if you ever want to be part of Jack's show, Interrogation, you can also visit his website at interrogationgame.com. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening, for being part of the show. Thank you so much for participating, Jack. We love talking to you. And you're very welcome. And for everybody else, have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.